My name's Sam. I'm the Partnerships and Communications Manager here at Fairygodboss. And if you didn't already know, Fairygodboss is the largest career community for women. Our platform supports women throughout their careers with a variety of free resources like company reviews, job listings, webinars with various experts like today, virtual recruiting events, and a community where users can be honest about their triumphs and failures, either as themselves or anonymously. So welcome to our latest installment of the Discovery series. Today we'll be talking about all things payments related. Before we get started, we will be taking questions throughout the webinar. Feel free to leave them either in the chat or the Q&A feature. You can find both at the bottom of your screen. And with the Q&A feature, you can leave questions as yourself or anonymously. Feel free to take advantage of all those features. We'll also be sending this out, a recording of this we'll be sending a recording of this out to everybody afterwards, probably tomorrow, as well as an article recapping everything we've talked about today. So you can rewatch anything you may have missed at your leisure. Here with me today is Genevieve. Genevieve currently serves as a client business executive at FistServe within the First Data Partner Solutions division and has over 13 years of experience in the electronic payments industry in various roles. In 2019, she was named ETA 40 Under 40 honoree, recognized as a game changer within her industry based on her impact and professional character, selected to participate in the Money 2020 Rise Up program, empowering women in leadership, and she was the recipient of WNET Making Waves Award. Thank you so much for being here today, Genevieve.
Great, thank you so much.
So let's start out with just learning about you. So tell me about yourself. What do you currently do, and how did you get to where you are today?
Sure. So just like you said, I'm client business executive with Fiserv. Recently, First Data from an acquisition. There's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the payments industry this year. But I didn't start out this way. I didn't, grow up as a little girl and dream about working in the, payments industry. And when we talk about payments, we talk about electronic payments. So anything card related. So every woman can relate to having a credit card, debit card, gift card, prepaid cards, whether it's, electronic checking, so you put in your check account information for recurring billing for your gym membership or your Netflix account, anything and everything payments. And so I just really quickly in college, I was actually a fashion design major. So I even did a summer abroad in Paris and thought I was going to be a fashion designer, but didn't want to have to move to New York, LA. I was Eastern North Carolina girl, married my high school sweetheart, and so wanted to stay in that area. And so my business professor told me to double major in business. And so I did. And I interviewed with a bank on campus, BB&T Bank, which is now recently merged with SunTrust to form Truist Bank. And I went through got accepted into their leadership development program. And so with that was like a 6-month on-the-job training. I learned everything and anything about banking. So loans and checking accounts, business accounts and everything. And so I got to choose from a list of departments within the bank of where did I want to go after that program. And one of the options was merchant services. And I had no idea what merchant services was. It sounded like fashion merchandising. And so that's why I chose it. And little did I know it was credit card processing. It was, the terminals, the PIN pads. Now we can pay by our phones, which of course is new technology. It wasn't there in 2006 when I first started in the industry. But along my way, different skills that I had kind of came into play. So where I learned about, buying clothes, I was now buying credit card terminals from distributors to then sell them to the actual merchants like the Targets of the world. And then also, I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't ever want to do anything related to marketing. I was like, that's like TV ads. That's not me. But our president at the time said, just go in there and make it pretty enough that someone wants to buy it. And so I ended up getting involved in sports marketing with our NASCAR team. I did social media marketing, promos, and that led to training within the bank to our bankers about payment processing, as well as training our sales team. So that's a little bit of my history and where I've come from. Now what I do is I work with companies that set up the businesses directly with the ability to accept credit cards for payment.
Got it. So that's kind of the big picture. So now what are you doing more on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so day to day and kind of, I guess, just to take a step back, the payments industry is huge. A lot of people, don't know that. Like I said, we all go. Actually, a really cool statistic I love is that 80% of consumer transactions are made by women. So 80%,
Oh, wow.
whether you actually, make the purchase or you're an influencer of the decision, even buying a car, healthcare, it's women. So I just love that we do it. So we should be involved in that process of making it happen. And I know we talk about, this is very women oriented. It's still a very male dominated industry, but we're working very hard to get more women involved because we are 80% of the spenders, right? And so we go back to, you start with the point of sale where you actually insert your card, wave it, swipe it, however you pay with your phone. And then it goes to the merchant services provider who provides that account to that business. And then it goes to the processor who's actually processing. So all these things happen in like those few seconds you're waiting for your receipt, right? Goes to the processor, and the processor goes through the card brands, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, whatever card you have. And then the card brands talk to your issuing bank. So whatever bank you got that card from to say, is there enough money on this card to approve this transaction? So if you think about all those different players within that process, it just opens up this whole world of job opportunities in all different types of capacities. Like I mentioned, whether it's marketing, whether it's product development strategy, whether it's training, HR even can translate into this industry, of course, helping to employ more women. And so what I do today, my day to day, is I work I'm business development and sales, but with existing clients. So I don't go out and get new clients. I work with existing, and I work with those merchant services providers that are working directly with the businesses. So directly with the Targets, or even with the small, bakery, mom and pop kind of shop. And so I'm working with them to make sure they're using us as a processor for all of those accounts that they're using. You may have seen equipment called Clover, that they're using the equipment for that actual point of sale processing. I do contract negotiations. My day-to-day, last year I was on 50 planes, so I work from home. This is my home office. And I go and I meet with them. We have clients meetings in their office. We have dinner meetings. We go to Vegas to conferences. I have meetings there. And so I travel a lot, but I'm home a lot, which actually is a great work-life balance for me as a mom. Now, I didn't start that way. Like you said, I've been in the industry 13 years. So I started out in the cubicle, in the cube farm in the big bank. And then I worked my way up, I guess, probably about 5 years into it. I was a manager. And then about 2 more years later, I was a VP reporting to the president, the only female and the youngest at age 30. And so then I did get a big office in the big bank. And then I ended up changing to the technology company that embraces more of that, flexible work environment, who, did allow me to work from home and just travel, whether it was in the office, for internal meetings or to go see my clients.
Gotcha. So you touched on a lot of different questions I actually have. So I want to go with the first one that came to mind. Was you talked about the variety of career paths you can have within the payments industry. It seems that there are a lot of different avenues people can go. And so are there really any skills that you see being transferable between any single job within the payments industry? A lot of our audience are people who are looking to kind of pivot careers or go into a new field. What are some skills that they should have no matter what they want to do within payments?
Yeah, so I think there are so many transferable skills into payments. Like I said, we can all relate as consumers ourselves, or maybe we've been business owners. My job right now, it's a lot of, problem solving. For my clients, when they have an issue, it's having a sense of urgency. It's being a good communicator with them, having empathy. And so these are like basic people skills. And that's actually what allows me to be so good in sales. I never thought I would be a salesperson. When I thought salesperson, I thought of like used car salesman. But when you're B2B sales, it's more about that relationship, and having, solutions-based selling, where I don't, feel bad trying to make a sale when I know I'm doing the right thing and I'm helping the client, solve a problem or helping them save money. And so I think that those are really great transferable skills. In a previous role, I did a lot of pricing strategy and product strategy. So that was a lot of, organizational skills, project management, honestly, a lot of math skills. I use a lot of, numbers, analytics, data, in marketing. It's a lot, as well as product development and strategy. It's in commercialization. It's a lot of, researching your competitors and, trying to get voice of the client and go-to-market strategy. So I think, honestly, any of these skills that you would have in any other industry are completely transferable. And then they are, of course, relatable, because we've all experienced, you know what a chip card is, now that you have to dip. If you use Apple Pay on your phone, whether it's just an in-app, in a website, or at the store. So we all have these experiences that, while you may not know like the background of payments, that it, started in 1980, it was the first credit card terminal. You don't have to know all that stuff. As long as you know kind of what's going on now, kind of, you've heard breaches in the media. So there's a lot of work that's going in around security, around encryption, tokenization. So I think it's fairly easy, so long as you are, hungry to learn and know that change is constant in the payments industry with new products, new technologies, and new securities, and you can embrace that, then I think it would be easy to pivot into any role in payments.
Awesome. So you talked about how you're able to work from home, which is, I know, something that so many people are looking for. So I know you said that that's not something everybody in the payments industry can do, but what are some of the benefits or some of your favorite things about working in this industry?
Yeah. So, I think just working in this industry, again, because it is so relevant, I feel like it's job security, right? Like cards aren't going anywhere. Actually, I was just doing some analytics where in 1980, 3% of transactions were card versus 59% today.
Oh, wow.
So we really gained, cash and check continue to decline. So it's only gaining momentum. Again, I think it's really exciting because we can relate to it as a shopper. And then to be able to affect change and create processes that simplify it or make it better for a card holder or make it better for that business owner on their process. So again, that problem solving and affecting change that, affects the whole country ultimately, I think is a really satisfying thing for me. Like you said, even at a home office, I think it's fine. So long as you're in a location, that you enjoy being in, and in that office environment. In a previous role, I commuted 2 hours a day. My kids were the last to get picked up from daycare and the first to get dropped off. And although I was in a role that I loved, I just couldn't do that anymore as a mother and feel good as a working mother. And so I was able to find a different company that embraced the work from home. And now I probably work more now than I did in the office. And so I think it's just finding, even within payments, just finding the right company that has the right culture, that has the right leadership, that then puts you in the right location.
Gotcha. And then for women specifically, you touched on how, not every company is the same, but are there any clear benefits to working in this industry, whether that is, occasionally generous paid time off or an above average salary, anything you're seeing that really is a huge benefit?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I think at any of the companies, so I've worked at the big bank, I've worked at a small startup that was somewhat of a mature startup, but about 150 people there. And then I've worked at a large global company now. And so all of them all have great benefits. A lot of them, if you are in the office, have great in-office perks. So, things like a stocked kitchen, that you don't have to pay for, snacks and coffee and things like that. They have money they put toward like gym memberships that's right across the street, or maybe in office that's free in that office building. There are, of course, like you said, maternity leave. So I've worked for companies that had 6 to 8 weeks. I've worked for companies that had no maternity leave paid. And then now I work at one that has 12 weeks paid. So it really just depends on the company. But I would say overall, there are really great benefits. I will say I've learned in my experience that when you are on the business development sales side of payments, it is, there's no cap on your pay. So as far as, you have a base salary, which can be pretty high compared to other sales jobs. And then you have a bonus payout structure, which could be structured or organized for cash, as well as company stock options, right? And so you have opportunity to even make more than your boss, as long as you make your sales, you get paid for what you do and you get paid for your worth, which is really, really an amazing feeling. Also with the sales, that is where, you could be locally, sales, so you're on the road a lot, but I've heard other women in those roles say they love it because they can, on the way to their client appointment, they can, stop and run an errand at Walmart or run in CVS and pick up their prescription, as they're kind of going around. So that's another benefit, I think, to that particular like regional sales role, which there are a lot of.
Awesome. So we've had quite a few questions come in through the audience, so I'm going to start turning to those. Anne asks, can you talk a little bit more about the marketing function within this industry, particularly as it relates to transferable skills? And she also asks if you can kind of give us an idea of the title names for these types of jobs, as they might be different from other industries.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I think they're both pretty similar. So, you might have a communications specialist. Of course, anything with marketing in the name, right, is pretty common. Anything with payments, of course, is going to be relevant. I think any of your skills are transferable. And what I have had the most success with, where I've been in the business development or business strategy or product VP role, when I've worked directly with my marketing team, is where, they really do the research to understand the industry. So understand, kind of like backing up to that transaction process, who are my target clients? Whereas I've had marketing teams before where they don't know anything about the industry. They just know about the bank, right? We'll give an example. And I really had to put everything together for, like, pretty much do their job for them. Mm-hmm. And then they just created the graphic, right? And so that is what you definitely don't want. And so you want to come in with ideas as far as, and I've worked at several companies with marketing teams. One is channel marketing manager. I'm trying to think of titles. That's a pretty, that's a big one out there, because in payments, you have multiple channels, because I could be selling directly to the merchant. That's the end business that's going to be accepting cards for payment. I could be marketing then to the merchant services providers that I mentioned I work with, and they are going after that end business user. And then I could be marketing to maybe software companies that I want to partner with that software companies as a payment provider, so we can put payments into their software. And so again, there's multiple channels, right, that we could be marketing to when it comes to payments. And so I think so long as you are familiar with demand generation, account-based marketing, and I flip my funnel is one I follow for marketing, but video marketing, of course, emails, and then a lot of what I do now is I work with our events marketing team. So events is really big in the industry. Some big conferences for us are Money 2020 and ETA Transact. So those are our biggest conferences. And then we have regional shows. That's like the Northeast Acquire Association, Southeast Acquire Association, Midwest, and then Western states. So event marketing is a big one as well, because a lot of shows and payments, we have big, huge booths, and normally do as well a lot of lunch and learn type marketing events. And we do after hours, like cocktail, panel, maybe networking events. So those are all kind of examples of marketing. Yeah.
Awesome. Another question from the audience. How do you stand out in an industry that is ever changing? That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think just continuing to problem solve is key. So falling in love with a problem, and then, trying to bring innovative ideas. I'm a big proponent of diversity in terms of diverse thinking. So people from all different backgrounds, getting everyone's input within a group. And then just what was in the question is making your voice heard. So, people early in on my career told me, just keep your head down, just do a good job and you'll get recognized. That's not always the case. I've had a manager before take credit for my work, but a lot of people knew that it was me that did it. So luckily I did get lifted up by another, I guess next level peer. And so I think it is making your voice heard, bringing your thoughts to your manager. My current boss told me, make sure you lead up. And he said, lead up as in bring things to him, be a leader and bring that up to him. And being a peer leader among your peers, bringing best practices to the table. Like you said, it's constantly changing, right? And so I think staying up on industry trends, so whether that's reading news articles, and I can provide some of those as well, and just staying up to date with what's going on, what's next, attending those conferences, attending those networking events, talking to people in other companies. I think is really important to have external networking. Internal networking is great for, I think, getting your job done within your organization and learning how to navigate that to your best of your ability. But then external networking is great because you can learn about other companies, again, be in the know with the industry, and then how could they may provide value to your organization, or your organization might can partner with them.
Cool. We've had a few questions come in around this same topic. Yvonne wants to know if you could share some of the top payment companies, and similarly, somebody else asked, where can I find top companies that are currently hiring? Just a quick plug. I know we have some payments companies and open positions on Fairygodboss, but I'm sure Genevieve has a few more answers than that.
No, that's great. I love Fairygodboss, so definitely utilize them. But yeah, big companies right now, and it can be confusing if you haven't been in the industry before. So definitely reach out, I would say, on LinkedIn to people that you see who work for companies that you're interested in, and see if you can't just reach out to them and have a conversation with them. I would say is a great tool. But so there's been big acquisitions just this year. So our top 6 processors became a top 3. And so the ones left standing are Fiserv, who I work for, which was First Data, FIS, who purchased WorldPay, who also purchased Heartland. Those are big names you may still see around on websites. And then Elevon is still a big one, as well as Global just purchased TSYS. So Global, FIS, Fiserv. Other big companies, PayPal. We all know PayPal, right? I'm kind of like, who wouldn't want to work for PayPal, right? Google is now a payments company, a payments tech company because of Google Pay, Apple Pay. So those are not, traditional ones you would think of, but card brands, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, they're always hiring. And that's, a great stable company, right? They've been in business since the 60s or even dating back to the first credit card in 1946. The equipment, the point of sale companies, Verifone and Genico. You probably heard of Square. Square is a company out there. They're a little bit different, but they are a big payments company. Stripe is a trending now payments company. Micros is a big software company owned by Oracle, which payments is a big part of theirs. But as far as where to find jobs, I would say I will plug WNET. So Women's Network and Electronic Transactions, WNETonline.org. They have job listings. Not only that, but they have webinars, just like Fairygodboss. They have mentoring, a social online community, thought leadership content for you to learn more about the industry. Women in Payments it's another organization I work with. Is just Women in Payments. And so they have roles that are out there. And then I would look for other payments recruiting firms. So a couple that I know of are Impact Payments Recruiting, as well as Green Rhino Staffing. So anytime you can go through a recruiter, that's always helpful, because they tend to, can get your foot in the door, which is typically the hardest part these days. You just can't apply online anymore.
Mm-hmm. For everybody listening, I'll include a link to WNET so you can check out their stuff. It's a really useful resource if you're looking to get into this industry. I also just want to put out a last call for questions, since I see time is almost up. So if you have any other questions, get them in right now so we can get to them. But I have another question for you. So you mentioned you got into the industry a little bit later on in your career. And what if somebody is interested in getting into the industry? Do they need to take any certain courses? Do they need a specific degree? Are there any courses that they can just take if they want to, brush up on their skills? What should they do?
Yeah, so no specific degree. There's people in payments of all different backgrounds. There is some courses that the Electronic Transactions Association offers. So one in particular is the ETA CPP. So it's Certified Payment Professional. So they actually offer courses so you can learn about payments. So they're a great resource. And then, like I mentioned, WNET, has great webinars for learning. But other than that, really no skills. Again, I would say just having that propensity to learn. Depending on the role that you may get into, it may be kind of a throw you to the fire, learn on the job type training. I know that's actually how I met one of my friends in WNET. She was in marketing, but had not been in the payments industry long. She listened to a Payments 101 webinar that I facilitated through WNET to really learn that background in payments. And she said it was so helpful for her. So I think just really a lot of that, self-motivation, self-learning as you get into the business.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Genevieve. It looks like we've gotten through everybody's questions. I hope everybody who attended really enjoyed the conversation. I know I did. I learned a lot that I never would have known about payments beforehand. So thank you again, Genevieve. Really appreciate your time with me today.
Great. Thank you so much.
And I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us. Bye.